Solanke and Calvert-Lewin, the two Dominics aren't doing it. So is it time to buy a forward? Welcome to my early thoughts video. Hope you guys are well and you had a good game week 9. We're going to look ahead to game week 10 and I'm going to talk about my early thoughts as well as show you a little bit of info about one forward who we definitely need to give a little bit more respect to. He goes by the name of Chris Wood. Before we do that though, let's just check in on my 62 points in game week 9. I did triple captain Erling Haaland. I've spoken about that at length. It was a fail. It didn't go to plan. The XG was there. The output wasn't. Good decision. Bad outcome. It happens. But let's just remember, if you did triple captain Erling Haaland, guys, it's not that important. Like, it's the weakest of chips. There's still a ton of performances that really matter. Triple captain is just one of many. It's actually one of 450 odd performances in your team. Just remember that. So, yeah, a few nice returns. Cole Palmer did actually get 10. This shows 7 and bonus points to be added. Nice assist there from Matt Sells for the 5. And Burmo is amazing. We all know that. And Rico Lewis finally gets his clean sheet. So look, we're not going to stay too long on this team. We're going to have a look, I guess, at my bus team to see how I set up before any transfers. I've got 0.0 in the bank. I've got one free transfer. Do hit that like button, guys. And also, if you fancy hitting that subscribe button, that'd be amazing. Now, Gabriel will be flagged. Ice on his knee. We don't quite know. Arteta's not going to tell us. Many will see that and think, oh, do I need to sell Gabriel? Guys, don't worry too much. Gabriel has Newcastle and Chelsea up next. You probably have a defender that can come in anyway. For me, like Mikalenko, I'm very happy starting. Greaves has got a hamstring injury for Ipswich. I don't think he's back until the international break in November. Trent has a nice fixture, Rico Lewis too. And then the midfield of Rodgers and Burmo, Foden and Palmer, none of them are going anywhere. The front line, however, though, I'm not happy with. I think Erling Haaland is still a set and forget. We'll talk about captaincy later. But Solanke and Calvert-Lewin, genuinely, either of them could go. Either of them could go quite happily. And the one man we really need to talk about is Chris Wood. Like, it's ridiculous, his form. Since Espirito Santo has been in charge at Wolves, only Cole Palmer and Haaland have scored more goals. That's ridiculous, that stat. Like, especially when you consider teams like Nottingham Forest don't score many goals. So for Chris Wood to be keeping that sort of company, knowing the output of his team is far lower than the output of a Chelsea or a Man City or a Liverpool or an Arsenal, like, that is outrageous. And here he is as a mid-priced, lower to mid-priced FPL option, and still he's in fewer than 20% of teams. He's actually scored, this tweet was from Friday night, Chris Wood, goals in the Premier League this season, 7. Man United, 7. Man United did score against West Ham. So now Man United are on 8 goals. So Chris Wood is absolutely smashing it this season. And look, when we look at his career, he's been a journeyman. Like, a bit of a journeyman. He's certainly not found a home for very, very long periods. Burnley for a fair few years, 144 caps or apps. And it was a 1 in 3 man. At Forest, though, we see he's been a 1 in 2 man, 21 goals, 40 appearances. But he's played at clubs like Millwall and Ipswich and Leeds and Burnley. Newcastle bought him from Burnley just to relegate Burnley, if you remember. That was a funny story. We're going to sign your best player to make sure you go down and we don't. But look, maybe at this point of his career, it's just happening for him. He's also playing for a manager that plays quite direct. He's playing for a manager that trusts him, and he's getting the game time. When he first moved to Forest, he was in and out of the team. Now he's absolutely nailed. Of course he is. And when we saw them against Leicester, they absolutely dominated. We see the XG plot here from between the posts. They were really, really good. And a lot of these big chances fall Chris Wood's way. Not just open play, but set-piece chances too. Remember, Ward-Prowse didn't play against Leicester, but with his delivery, you've got to think Chris Wood's going to even get some set-piece goals as well. And when we look at the average position map, it's good. He has wingers supporting him. There's a lot to love about Chris Wood. We're going to compare him to a few other forwards in the game in a sec. But before we do, shout out to OneFootball for sponsoring this vid. If you don't have OneFootball on your phone, right now, get it out. Scan the QR code. It's free football app. You may have heard of the likes of SofaScore. OneFootball's the best, right? For me, it's the one on my home screen. It's great for football news. It's great for short video clips of goals. It's great for data, team lineups, tracking in-game performance, all of it, not just for the Premier League. I use it for Serie A, all the top leagues, Champions League too. Get it on your phone. I want to compare Chris Wood with Cunha. And I want to compare Chris Wood with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I own. Now, Chris Wood's fixtures, let's just discuss them, because 16% owned. Why is he not in more teams? Maybe some are put off by a couple of tricky fixtures, but actually 3 of the next 4 are at home. Homes against West Ham, home against Newcastle, home against Ipswich. Sure, he has to go to Arsenal and City. Tough. But don't forget, Forest went to Liverpool and scored and won. Hudson-Odoi goal, that was. They caused Chelsea problems away. I don't expect points for Chris Wood versus Arsenal and City, but I do expect them against Ipswich. I do expect them against West Ham and Newcastle. Newcastle, of course, his old team. So I like him a lot. I just can't move to him easily. I have Dominic Calvert-Lewin at 6 million with no money in the bank. I do, however, have Solanke. We'll talk more about which one is more likely to be sold, if either. I want to talk Chris Wood alongside Cunha and Strand Larsen, alongside Calvert-Lewin. So let's compare. Chris Wood, he's got the form. He's got the ownership and the price point. The fixtures are good, but not amazing. When we talk about amazing fixtures, Wolves really have it good. Like Forest, 3 of the next 4 are at home. Crystal Palace, Southampton, and Bournemouth at home. They've got Fulham and Everton the next 2 aways. He's 6.5. His numbers are really good in terms of creativity. He's not the out-and-out number 9 at Wolves. That doesn't matter. His numbers are better than the out-and-out number 9. So when we compare him to Strand Larsen, who's playing number 9, we can see that actually, look at Cunha against Brighton, more advanced than Strand Larsen, more touches, more shots. But they both played 90. They were chasing the game. Of course, you'd expect Strand Larsen to play 92. The difference in price, though, is the big difference here. It's $1 million. Strand Larsen is 5.5. Cunha is 6.5. If you're selling Calvert-Lewin and you don't have money in the bank, you could still consider Strand Larsen because, look, the fixtures are so good. I like the fixtures. I think they score goals against Palace and Southampton. I'm genuinely tempted to take a Wolves player in early doors. And remember, if you're going to a Strand Larsen, maybe that extra 0.5 million can be of high use to you. So food for thought, a Wolves striker, depending on your budget. And then we have to look at Calvert-Lewin. Like every week, I feel like I come here and say, I can't sell Calvert-Lewin. Look at his fixture. His fixtures haven't helped. His fixtures haven't helped him, right? Like he is blanked in the last 3, 4, 5 games, and his fixtures in the last 5 games have been Leicester. Oh, good fixture. Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, great fixture. Fulham. No, it's still 2 and 1 pointers across the board. If he's not doing it against Ipswich and Leicester, what makes us think he's going to go do it against Southampton and West Ham? Away from home, by the way. And again, Everton on the road aren't great. I think it's time to sell Calvert-Lewin. It's just how many forwards can you really afford for the same price point as Calvert-Lewin? If you've got money in the bank, it's great. You can go up to a Cunha, you can go up to a Wood. You need 0.4 or 0.5. If you don't have money in the bank, well, you're shopping in it. Danny Welbeck's 5.9, Visser's 5.9, Raul Jimenez is 5.7. But I feel like Strand Larsen, because of the fixtures, is probably the best option. You know, Welbeck's got terrible fixtures. Fulham have some interesting fixtures. They play Brentford and Palace and Wolves next. Visser's fixtures are a bit of a mixed bag, but they're good for the immediate. Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. You know, Visser's always useful. I just think Strand Larsen for the long-term option is probably the best option. Or maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin is someone you just run with. The fact it's 2 away, though, is what really turns me off. It's Everton's away form isn't great. They just don't score many away. They don't score many at home, let alone score away. So we compare all 3. If I'm ranking them, I rank Wood at 1, Cunha at 2, obviously Calvert-Lewin at 3. And that's where I think I'm at. I mean, we have to go back to look at kind of the bus team and go, where do you go from here, Gianni? You've got a very good midfield and backline that you're happy with. I don't see myself making transfers there yet. Of course, at some point, I like Man United. I might, for their fixtures in a few weeks, I might punt on a Bruno or a Garnacho in 3-4 weeks' time. Obviously, I'd love to accommodate a Salah. I can't do that, and I'd love Saka back. But ways of doing that is to make a few downgrades. Now, could Solanke go down to one of the forwards we've just discussed? Could Calvert-Lewin go down to Strand Larsen? Yeah, they absolutely could. That is something I could consider this week. I don't think I'll be selling Gabriel, even if we feel like he's out for a while, because I've got a Mikalenko there who can come on, who could keep a clean sheet. Everton are better at clean sheets than goals. And then Foden was someone I thought maybe Foden won't be in my team forever, but the way he played at the weekend and the way he played in the Champions League, his last 2 appearances in the number 10 have been outstanding. For as long as Kevin De Bruyne is out, for me, Foden is in. and I think I might get a couple more weeks. So Foden goes to Bournemouth. I could possibly then sell him if De Bruyne is back for when he goes to Brighton before the international break. Or maybe De Bruyne is out for a couple more weeks and I get Bournemouth and Brighton. 2 away games, though. And again, like most teams, City aren't quite the same beast away from home. Could I make the switch towards Saka soon? Yeah, I could. But again, Saka's got 2 tough away games now, Newcastle and Chelsea. The time to buy Saka, well, when we get the home games, game week 12 onwards, Nottingham Forest at home. So that's where I'm at, guys, with my early thoughts. I'll do a video later in the week where I give more concrete info. Thank you as always for watching. Hit that like button. Thank you as always for supporting the journey by hitting the subscribe button. If you don't own Chris Wood and you can get to him, genuinely consider it. Do consider Cunha. They are 2 standout options. And if I could trade him for Solanke and Calvert-Lewin like that without any hits, I think I'd be making those moves. Guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you for another video next time. Bye-bye.